This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
President-elect Trump building his administration.
President Trump is ready to get to work.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Closing in on Republican control in the U.S. House of Representatives. We'll have details.
Gunmen shoot out a passenger plane moments before landing, and the pilots quickly change plans. I'm Katie Clark with details.
President Joe Biden was at Arlington National Cemetery for the annual Veterans Day observance. I'm Shelley Adler.
A shooting during homecoming weekend at Tuskegee University in Alabama. I'm Julie Walker.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a volatile but winning day. Bitcoin hit another record high. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Fire crews continue fighting wildfires due to dry conditions on the West Coast and the East Coast. I'm Jackie Quinn.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The leadership staff of the incoming Donald Trump administration is taking shape. Reports indicate that Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, is expected to serve as Secretary of State. And Florida Congressman Michael Waltz will become National Security Advisor. After naming the first woman to ever serve as White House Chief of Staff, correspondent Clayton Neville reports there were more names added to the cabinet.
President-elect Trump not wasting any time and seemingly showing loyalty to names who showed loyalty to him during his run for a second presidency. Former Congressman Lee Zeldin tapped as the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, and Stephen Miller named Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy. Congressman Elise Stefanik named as Trump's nominee for ambassador to the United Nations. She recently told CNN that America will flourish under Trump.
President Trump is ready to get to work unleashing American energy dominance and then, of course, growing the economy by ensuring that we continue to cut taxes for hardworking Americans. That means no tax on tips, no tax for Social Security.
Sunday night, the president-elect announced former Immigrations and Custom Enforcement Director Tom Homan as the administration's border czar. Immigration, one of Trump's top issues on the campaign trail. Homan was recently interviewed on CBS's 60 Minutes about potential plans for mass deportation under Trump.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
When pressed about separating families at the southern border.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
Republicans praising the pick, saying Homan will be tough on immigration. Meanwhile, President-elect Trump has more announcements to make in coming weeks. It's not clear yet exactly what roles billionaire Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will serve in the administration, which Trump has said is likely to happen. I'm Clayton Neville.
Although not official yet, Republicans are now seen likely to regain the majority in the House of Representatives, giving the GOP a clean sweep of Congress and the White House. With more than a dozen races still uncalled and many looking close, Democrats would need to hang on to all of their competitive seats and flip a few Republican-held seats to get the 218 needed for majority. Republicans need just 4 seats to retain House leadership. 9 of the House races yet to be called are in California. America in the Morning continues. Danger in the skies when a Spirit Airlines passenger jet was diverted away from Haiti's capital city after it was struck by gunfire from the ground, suspending all American carriers into the island nation. Katie Clark has more on the story.
A Spirit Airlines plane out of Fort Lauderdale heading to Port-au-Prince, Haiti on Monday was moments from landing at only 500 feet altitude when it was shot at, apparently from the ground. Bullets went inside the cabin and hit the overhead cargo compartment, as well as an exterior exit door. One flight attendant had minor injuries. No one else in the plane had been hurt. The pilot quickly diverted the plane, taking it into the Dominican Republic, landing it safely in Santiago. Just a few weeks ago, a United Nations helicopter was fired upon in Haiti. In the last year, there's been an uptick in crime and violence throughout the country. Gangs run about 85% of Port-au-Prince. A new prime minister was sworn in just hours after the Spirit Airlines incident Monday with the hopes of restoring order to the country. All flights have been canceled in and out of Port-au-Prince's airport until at least Monday. The U.S. State Department has issued a travel advisory recommending Americans avoid travel to Haiti for the time being. I'm Katie Clark.
Today's top stories are brought to you by Sleep Number. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? It's the only bed that lets you make each side firmer or softer whenever you want. Save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com. Arrest made in college campus shooting. That's when America in the Morning continues after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. The Tuesday national forecast contains some rain and snow. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
The Intermountain West will be the country's hotbed of widespread precipitation for today as the storm continues on its trek to the east. This storm will pull some cold air eastward with it, with conditions more than favorable for snow from the northern Rockies into western Colorado, and quite steady at times near into the south of the Idaho-Montana border. A mix of rain and snow is a bit more likely instead from Wyoming into the Wasatch Range of Utah, as well as in northeastern Nevada and into southern Idaho, with some flurries or lighter rain showers reaching the Blue Mountains of northeastern Oregon. However, the next wave of increased moisture for the Pacific Northwest brings another round of occasional rain to the coast from northwestern Oregon through Washington, with showers extending from coastal northern California to the Cascades, where there can again be snow instead. Those areas account for the vast majority of the nation's organized precipitation for today, but there can also be some showers of rain and mountain snow from northern New York across northern New England, including much of interior Maine, as some energy lingers behind the latest cold front to sweep the northeast and the mid-Atlantic. Strong gusty winds in the wake of that front will lead not only to a cooler day as highs drop 10 to 20 degrees from Monday's values, but to another day with an enhanced brush fire risk from Delaware to eastern Pennsylvania and much of New England, thanks to low humidity and still dry ground despite the recent precipitation. Very spotty showers and perhaps even some thunder may occur from the New Orleans area into the Florida Panhandle as well as southern and Atlantic Florida, but most other places will be quite dry this Tuesday. In Oklahoma City, expect some sunshine and a developing breeze with a high of 69. For Boise, Idaho, a spotty morning rain or snow shower gives way to clouds and a high of 50. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
I'm John Trout. Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. President Joe Biden went to Arlington National Cemetery for the last time as Commander-in-Chief to honor veterans. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports.
Honor, guard, attention!
President Joe Biden was at Arlington National Cemetery for the annual Veterans Day observance.
This is the last time I will stand here at Arlington as Commander-in-Chief. It's been the greatest honor of my life to lead you, to serve you, to care for you, to defend you, just as you defended us, generation after generation after generation.
President Joe Biden speaking for the last time as Commander-in-Chief on Veterans Day at Arlington National Cemetery.
We stand here today, we think about all that our veterans have given to our nation, serving and sacrificing in uniform, just as they serve and sacrifice here at home.
And he had this message for military families.
To all those with a loved one still missing or unaccounted for, to all Americans grieving the loss of a loved one who wore the uniform, Jill and I want you to know we see you, we thank you, and we'll never stop working to meet our sacred obligation to you and your family.
I'm Shelley Adler.
Tuskegee University has closed its campus to outsiders and fired its security director after the homecoming shooting over the weekend. Correspondent Julie Walker reports an arrest has been made. Audio courtesy WAKA-TV, Selma, Alabama.
A shooting during homecoming weekend at Tuskegee University in Alabama has left an 18-year-old who was not a student dead and 16 others injured, a dozen of them by gunfire, many of them students, according to the school.
We did not, nor could we, have planned for security at an event that was not approved in advance or officially sanctioned by the university. The event in which the shooting took place was not approved in advance, and in no way was it sanctioned by the university. Effective immediately, we require IDs for everyone to be displayed to enter campus and worn at all times while on campus.
The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency says 25-year-old Jacquees Myrick was arrested while leaving the scene of the Sunday shooting after authorities found a gun with a machine gun converter on him. He's not accused of using the gun in the shooting, which erupted as the historically black university's 100th homecoming week was winding down. I'm Julie Walker.
When we return, election kiss for U.S. stocks. Crypto up, gold prices fall. Business news is straight ahead. America in the Morning is back after these messages. Welcome back. Here with America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, always putting clients' interests first. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Recap of Monday's open and finish on Wall Street yesterday. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens after a volatile day for stocks, but the markets all finished in the green. The Dow up 300 points to open this morning above 44,000 for the very first time.
Right now we're in, everything is possible. And what's happening right now is the transition is the time when the glorious hype of a campaign starts to meet the grim reality of governing. And so the real question is what happens over the next 70 days to prioritize all the things that have been discussed, and I think that's going to have very substantial effects on the market.
Lazard's CEO Peter Orszag on CNBC. It was a good day for car makers. GM riding a 7-day winning streak. Ford coming off its 5th positive day in 6. Bitcoin hit a fresh record high of $87,000 yesterday as crypto traders bask in the Trump election victory.
Donald Trump, remember, promised that all future Bitcoin will be mined in the U.S. and pledged to rapidly build out the country's energy production and transmission infrastructure, which is a great thing for those power-hungry miners. This is one of multiple commitments made by the president-elect to the crypto industry on the campaign trail, along with vowing to fire SEC Chair Gary Gensler and to launch a national crypto stockpile.
CNBC's Mackenzie Sigalos. Gold continues its drop. It was down another 2% yesterday, $2,622 an ounce. And CNBC's Sarah Eisen spoke with one of the biggest names in mining, Wheaton's Randy Smallwood.
Are there any policies that you're looking for under a new administration on the regulatory front that would impact you?
Well, I think the resounding message through the entire election process was tariffs. And, the only group that ultimately pays for tariffs in the end is consumers. It just drives costs up. And that equates to inflation from my eyes. And so I do think that if we do see strong tariffs put in, that's going to, provide even better strength for the price of gold.
Wheaton's Randy Smallwood on CNBC. Americans who are renting, really many of them doing so because they can't afford yet to buy, and that's putting pressure on occupancy, and here go the rents up again.
The apartment vacancy rate fell in the third quarter of this year for the first time in more than 2 years, that according to a new report from CBRE. Average monthly rents in the quarter rose, and that increase is expected to accelerate. As occupancy rises, rents will continue to rise as well.
CNBC's Diana Olick. On today's watch list, we get earnings from a biggie, Home Depot, and FanDuel parent company Flutter. Disney celebrates tonight. Its ABC marks the 500th episode of Dancing with the Stars.
Quite a milestone. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, Wisconsin's total abortion ban. We're back after these messages. We're back. This is America in the Morning. A major wildfire continues to burn in California, and a number of fires are impacting parts of New Jersey and New York. Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports.
There are about a half dozen fires in the northern New Jersey, New York area, sending smoke into the air, including the Jennings Creek wildfire in Passaic County. It's threatening several homes like Dana Van Allen's.
Definitely concerned that it's going to spread because it could spread right to our homes.
There was a little rain in the early morning hours, but Assistant Division Fire Warden Christopher Franick says it didn't make a dent.
Due to the extreme drought and dry conditions we were having, it is still an active wildfire.
Which led to the cancellation of a local Veterans Day parade. There are other wildfires in New England and in California's Ventura County and Nevada's Reno area, which forced thousands of evacuations. I'm Jackie Quinn.
The Wisconsin Supreme Court heard arguments in an attempt to reactivate the state's total abortion ban. Sheboygan County's Republican District Attorney asked the court to reinstitute a law passed in 1849, one that provides no exceptions for rape or incest and could force doctors to withhold medical care. That same ban was in place until 1973, when the Roe v. Wade decision nullified it. The Wisconsin State Supreme Court has a liberal majority and is expected to render a decision in several weeks. We'll be following the outcome and all the stories making headlines around the nation. America in the Morning for Tuesday, November 12th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
The former head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement says he's honored to be appointed as the new border czar. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Picking a leader in the Senate. I'm Clayton Neville.
A verdict reached in the Delphi murder trial. I'm Pamela Furr.
A football coach loses his job for impaired driving. Hollywood actress claims she's been blacklisted, and a massive auto investigation underway. We'll tell you why.
Bitcoin prices are skyrocketing, but not everybody's happy about it. I'm Chuck Palm.
Kevin Costner reacts to the fate of John Dutton in Yellowstone. I'm Kevin Carr.
Plus a recap of New York's Veterans Day parade. Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. With rains dried up in the east, most of the nation will be clear. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
With most of the eastern half of the nation sitting under the influence of a large and potent area of high pressure that will be centered over the northern Great Lakes and eastern Ontario through the day today, the vast majority of the country has a dry Tuesday in its future. Places from the plains through the Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, and most of the Northeast have some sunshine in store for today. However, that high pressure will interact with an area of low pressure tracking through interior parts of the Northwest to result in very strong winds, perhaps gusting over 40 miles per hour at times, from the eastern Texas Panhandle through western Kansas and into the Dakotas and Minnesota. The same zone of high pressure will bring gusty winds back to much of the Northeast and the coastal Mid-Atlantic today, as another area of low pressure sits off the Atlantic Canada coast. Gusts in this area won't be quite as strong as in the plains on average, but even gusts to 30 to 35 miles per hour will present a very high fire risk yet again, thanks to the rather low humidity levels in place and the continuing drought conditions despite the rain that fell over the past 2 days. For many, that rain was simply not enough to moisten the ground to prevent the continuation of brush fire concerns, especially on gusty days like today. Elsewhere in the nation, there can be some very spotty showers along parts of the eastern Gulf Coast in vague association with moisture from what was once Hurricane Rafael, as well as along mainly the Atlantic coast of Florida. Most of the desert southwest looks dry, but farther to the north, a disturbance crossing the interior west means widespread rain and snow from the Colorado Rockies north and west through Idaho and Montana, with additional rain and some high-elevation snow showers instead near the Pacific Northwest coastline. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. The next cabinet for President-elect Donald Trump is starting to take shape, with several appointments made, including a border czar and former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin to lead the EPA. Two politicians from Florida, Senator Marco Rubio, who's a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, is expected to be named Secretary of State, and Congressman Michael Waltz will become National Security Advisor. As correspondent Jackie Quinn reports, one figure from the past Trump administration will be part of his incoming team, and another, current New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who made a name for herself during House hearings into anti-Israel activity on college campuses, will become the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations.
The answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
The former head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement under the previous Trump administration says he's honored to be appointed as the new border czar. Tom Homan, a tough-talking former Border Patrol agent, appeared on Fox News, which pundits say signals the Trump administration is determined to go forward with the hardline immigration pledges that dominated Donald Trump's campaign events.
Public safety threats and national security threats will be the priority, because they have to be. They pose the most danger to this country. So we're going to prioritize those groups, those who always have final orders, those that had due process at great taxpayer expense, and the federal judge says you must go home, and they didn't. They became a fugitive.
Homan says he's honored to be appointed and that he will go forward with deportations, but in a, quote, humane manner. In recent interviews, he said there won't be massive roundups of migrants in the country, but says they will initially target the worst of the worst who pose a risk to public safety.
Send the illegals back home.
Stephen Miller will be Donald Trump's deputy chief of policy. Miller was a central figure in previous policy decisions, including the separation of migrant children from their families in 2018. Campaigning with Trump in Colorado last month, Miller blamed the Democrats for an influx.
We don't need migrants consuming and depleting our public resources, overwhelming our public schools, overwhelming our hospitals, taking over our apartment buildings, and yes, murdering innocent Americans.
Since leaving the White House in 2021, Miller led the America First legal organization. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Senate Republicans look to elect a new leader this week, while President-elect Trump is yet to endorse any of the candidates. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
The vote on Capitol Hill is slated for tomorrow. Leader Mitch McConnell stepping aside from his leadership role as the GOP prepares to take control of the Senate in January. Candidates in the Senate include names like Senator John Thune and Senator John Cornyn, who told CNN that he spoke with Trump several times in recent months.
I've talked to the former president a couple times just to let him know. First, after I endorsed him after the New Hampshire primary, but then to let him know of my intention to run. He appreciated the call. I told him that, I thought we worked very well together during the 4 years he was president when I was the whip, and did a lot of good things, and I look forward to working with him again.
Florida Republican Congressman Corey Mills spoke with Fox Business about Senate leadership.
I would rather not see John Thune or John Cornyn. I think that it's the same thing as Mitch McConnell 2.0. I think that we're going to get the exact same thing. And I can remember their tweets that doesn't get erased by the internet, where they actually attacked the president. And so I don't feel confident they would actually deliver on his agenda.
Cornyn addressed the criticism with CNN.
I am not Mitch McConnell. So I'm my own person, and I have my ideas about what we can do to get the Senate working again.
Senator Rick Scott of Florida, a name with support from a number of Republicans on Capitol Hill, and billionaire and Trump ally Elon Musk backing Scott too. Scott was on Fox News and spoke about urgency in Congress.
With regard to the Trump nominees, we got to get them done. Whatever it takes. If it's recess appointments, whatever it takes, we got to get these done. We know Schumer's going to slow everything down. I am all on board. We've got to change the direction of this country. The country voted. They want a change. They want the Trump agenda. They want his nominees. They want his policies. We've got to do everything we can to get that done.
Now, Scott has said that he'll push the Trump agenda if elected, but the president-elect yet to make clear if he backs one of the candidates more than the others. I'm Clayton Neville.
The new president of the United Nations climate talks has opened the COP29 summit in Azerbaijan with a stern warning and an urgent need for money. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports this may also be the last time, for the time being, that an American delegation will take part.
The two-week UN climate negotiations, COP29, opened with a speech from its president, Mukhtar Babayev, warning of the dire predicament the world's in.
Colleagues, we are on the road to ruin, but these are not the future problems. Climate change is already here.
Curbing and coping with climate change's worsening heat, floods, droughts and storms is a vast cost.
Ladies and gentlemen, we must be totally honest. The UN Environmental Programme shows that current policies are leading us to 3 degrees of warming. These temperatures would be catastrophic for billions. They would threaten the existence of communities' representatives in this room.
The focus then is striking a new deal on how many hundreds of billions or even trillions of dollars a year will flow from rich nations to poor ones to try to curb and adapt to climate change. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
When we return on America in the Morning, among the stories we're covering, accused murderer learns his fate, and out of a job on the gridiron after drunk driving charges. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. Guilty verdict in the double murder trial of an Indiana man accused of killing 2 teenagers nearly 8 years ago. Pamela Furr has the story.
After nearly 19 hours of deliberations, a jury has found Richard Allen, a former drugstore employee, guilty in the brutal killings of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, who disappeared while on a hike in Delphi, Indiana back in 2017. Allen stood motionless in the courtroom as the verdict was read, guilty on 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of murder while committing kidnapping.
I truly believe in the system.
That's family friend Sarah Osbrook, who spoke with reporters after the verdict.
You got to remember, it's not a closure. It's a new chapter for the families where you turn that page and then you go through the milestones of the girl's life. I mean, there's never closure when you lose a child.
Prosecutors say Allen had threatened the girls with a gun, forced them off the trail they were hiking on, and told them he was going to rape them. Jurors were shown grisly crime scene photos of the girls' bodies with their throats slit. Allen faces up to 130 years behind bars. He's scheduled for sentencing December 20th. Everyone involved in the case remains under a gag order, but Allen's attorneys are expected to appeal the verdict. I'm Pamela Furr.
A former NFL player turned college coach is out of a job after his arrest over the weekend for drinking and driving. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
Former NFL head coach Jack Del Rio is stepping down from his role on Wisconsin's coaching staff after he was arrested for operating a vehicle while intoxicated. Madison police said Del Rio was arrested after a vehicle hit a stop sign and broke a fence before resting in a yard. Police said Del Rio was walking away from the area and showed signs of impairment when they arrived on the scene at 12:35 a.m. Del Rio had joined Wisconsin staff in August as a senior advisor to coach Luke Fickell. I'm Gethin Coolbach.
If you haven't seen Susan Sarandon in a starring role lately, there may be a reason. The Oscar-winning actress is claiming she's been blacklisted by Hollywood over her remarks about Jewish people at an anti-Israel rally last year. Sarandon told a London tabloid she was dropped by her talent agent, and projects she was involved in were pulled after she was recorded protesting against Israel and in favor of Gaza. She appeared at several high-profile pro-Palestinian events, including calling Israel's action genocide after Hamas terrorists flooded into Israel, killing 1,200 people and kidnapping over 200 others, nearly 100 of those still held over a year later. Sarandon has since apologized for her statements. America in the Morning continues. A large number of Honda and Acura vehicles are being investigated for engine issues. Correspondent Rita Foley reports.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is investigating complaints that engines can fail on some Honda and Acura vehicles, as many as 1.4 million vehicles. The Honda Pilot and the Acura MDX from 2016 through 2020, the Honda Ridgeline from 2017 through 2019, and the Honda Odyssey and Acura TLX from 2018 through 2020. How does this happen? Well, the agency says connecting rod bearings, which help power the vehicle, can fail, leading to the complete failure of the engine. Honda recalled about 250,000 vehicles in 2023 to fix the same problem. I'm Rita Foley.
The price of Bitcoin does not seem to be slowing down anytime soon, but some investors are not all that happy about it. Here's Chuck Palm with the explanation in today's Tech Report.
The price of Bitcoin has soared on news of the upcoming administration's favorability towards the cryptocurrency. Bitcoin reached a record high of $88,000 yesterday, but not every investor is super happy about it. Short sellers of the cryptocurrency and other blockchain-related stocks have suffered heavy losses since November 6, and crypto short traders may be seeing a further hammering by the end of this week. America's largest exchange, Coinbase, has seen short seller losses of $1.2 billion as of the November 8th close. Just like shorting regular stocks, Bitcoin short sellers are selling the cryptocurrency that they borrow and then buy it back at a lower price when the market dips, pocketing the difference. Much to their dismay, the price of Bitcoin has jumped nearly 20% since November 6th. Susanna Streeter, head of money and markets at Hargreaves Lansdowne, said Bitcoin speculators are betting on a more clement regulatory environment and expect the feds to build up a reserve crypto fund. Follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
If you lost your ability to get online, this could be the reason why there was a massive Verizon Fios internet outage overnight. The area, according to the website Down Detector, affects millions of users from Philadelphia to Richmond, Virginia, an area covering over 300 miles. Verizon posted on X that they were working to resolve the outage. In sports, from the NFL, Week 10 of 18, the Miami Dolphins beat the Los Angeles Rams 23-15. From the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers have done something they've never done before and remain the league's only unbeaten team. David Schuster has that.
Donovan Mitchell scored a game-high 36 points, 25 coming in the opening half as the Cavaliers defeated the Bulls 119-113. The Cavs becoming just the 8th team in NBA history to start a season with 12 straight wins.
We're doing it in various ways. We're doing it in ways where we are blowing out teams, where we're winning from behind, we're winning close games. It's different. It's somebody different every night, leading the charge. It's always a group effort. So, it's great to see, but I'm always the devil's advocate. I'm always like, it's only 12 games.
On this particular night, Mitchell had plenty of help as Darius Garland chipped in with 17 points. Evan Mobley had a double-double, and the Cavaliers bench totaled 39 points. Zach LaVine led the Bulls with 26 points, but he and his teammates had 21 turnovers, leading to 35 points. David Schuster, Chicago.
The Hockey Hall of Fame inducted 6 new members in their class of 2024. Among them is Colin Campbell, who spent over 50 years in hockey as a player and later becoming director of hockey operations for the league. The Associated Press releases their weekly men's college basketball poll. The University of Kansas remains number 1 in the nation. When we return on America in the Morning, a Veterans Day parade like none other. When we return after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. In entertainment news, the fate of John Dutton on Yellowstone has been learned. Questions surround Kevin Costner as to what he thought of it. Here's our Kevin Carr with more.
The wait is over, and Yellowstone fans finally rode back into the drama of the Dutton family to learn the fate of John Dutton. It was a secret to everyone, including actor Kevin Costner. Back in June, Costner announced he was stepping away from the Paramount program in order to focus on other projects, particularly his multi-film series Horizon: An American Saga.
I just realized that I'm not going to be able to continue season 5B or into the future.
On Sunday night, Yellowstone returned from a 2-year hiatus for the second part of the 5th season. And with a spoiler alert firmly in place, it's about time to find out what happened to Costner's character.
Suicide? Not only did Jamie kill the man, he killed everything our father's ever done.
The Yellowstone patriarch died of an apparent suicide. However, later in the episode, it's revealed to be a plot involving Sarah Atwood.
You have my permission to execute.
While many suspected John Dutton would be killed off, even Costner himself was in the dark until the episode aired. And he did not even watch the episode, he told Michael Smerconish on his Sirius XM program on Monday.
There's a lot going on. And somebody said, it played last night. And I said, okay. So, no, I found out about it this morning, actually.
While Costner was not thrilled with John Dutton's exit, he has faith the writers will deliver the goods throughout the rest of the season.
Listen, they're smart people. Whatever they're doing, they'll figure it out.
I'm Kevin Carr.
New York City held its 105th Veterans Day Parade, considered the largest in the nation, with over 20,000 participants marching up the city's iconic Fifth Avenue. Correspondent Julie Walker has the highlights.
It's my once-a-year enjoyment. Are you kidding me? I just love to be out there in the public and letting them know that we still care.
Here on Fifth Avenue in New York City, people wave American flags in honor of veterans from wars as far back as World War II.
The number of people that have come out to see it and to honor people like the gunnery sergeant over there and whatever. I just think it's great, a wonderful thing.
99-year-old Army veteran Carl Levy was in the Battle of the Bulge.
I feel great today because I'm alive.
That's also how veteran UD's Rafael Garcia, who retired from the Marine Corps, feels.
Any day above ground is a good day.
The 3-time Purple Heart recipient made his way along the parade route in a wheelchair after being paralyzed.
Panama, I got shot in the leg. Kuwait, I got shot in the stomach. In Iraq, I got shot in the head.
At the Veterans Day Parade in New York, I'm Julie Walker.
America in the Morning for Tuesday, November 12th, 2024, is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.